Yo, what's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome to DFJ Hoops. As always, I'm your host, Andre. And tonight we got a good show for y'all, man. Does Paul George make the Philadelphia 76ers a contender? Where do the Sixers rank among the top teams in the Eastern Conference? We're going to talk about everything. We're going to break everything down. As you come in, please make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit the bell notification as well. Excuse me. Shout out to Thomas Talented in the building. He says contender for a 3 seed. He says contender for the Eastern Conference or NBA Finals. No. So what teams do you got over the Philadelphia 76ers? Let me know that in the comment section. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it. But first of all, let me just talk about this right now and just get this out the way. So last night, or yesterday, should I say, the Philadelphia 76ers introduced their new signings to the team. So Andre Drummond, Eric Gordon, Caleb Martin, all these guys were introduced to the team, as well as Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre has some statements to make to the Philadelphia 76ers saying that the Sixer team and the city itself made him fall in love with basketball again. So shout out to Kelly Oubre for re-signing with the Sixer team, and shout out to the fans for letting them enjoy basketball once more again. Because when he was playing for the Charlotte Hornets, I mean, if you're playing for Charlotte, you're playing for a losing team, a losing organization, so you're not really gonna enjoy the game that much. Now you might get your own stats, you might put up some scoring numbers, but in terms of winning, in terms of competing at a high level, it's just not going to happen because the Charlotte Hornets is not a good team to compete with. So shout out to him. Andre Drummond has some statements to make as well. I think he he went to the best cheesesteak spot in Philly to show the fans that, yeah, he's back in Philly. He misses the fans, he misses the crowd, misses the team, the city itself, and the food and the culture and everything that Philly represents. So shout out to Andre Drummond as well. Eric Gordon was also introduced, and Caleb Martin. Now, Caleb Martin, with his situation, rejecting that first contract extension, I don't really know the whole situation behind it. And I mean, to me personally, it sounds a little bit fishy because why would you turn down that money in order to sign for less? Now, I personally believe he probably turned it down in the season and thought the Miami Heat was going to make another finals run, which means that he was gonna sign more money because he was going to contribute to that team at a very high level. But that didn't happen for them. They had a lot of injuries, a ton of injuries. Jimmy Butler went out. Terry Rozier went out. A lot of players went out. So they ended up losing in the first round to the Boston Celtics, and he had no other choice but to sign the deal that the 76ers gave him. Now, I don't know if Miami gave him a deal. There's no conversations or there's no reports that says that Miami offered him a deal, but I'm thinking they did, but he probably didn't. He thought it was disrespectful, or he thought it wasn't that good enough. That's why he took the deal with the Sixers. But hey, nonetheless, I appreciate Caleb Martin being on this team, and hopefully, he definitely adds something to this team that this team has been lacking for a long time. So yeah, that's that. But let's get into the topic and let's break everything down. So does Paul George make the Philadelphia 76ers a contender team? I would say no. And I know everybody will be surprised. Yes, I know a lot of people are going to be surprised, but I would say no. And I'm saying no because without Paul George, the Sixers was already a contender last season. I mean, the Sixers, when Embiid was healthy, the Sixers were the third team. Now, I believe a contender is any team that can, if you're a top 3 seed, in my opinion, you're a contender. Now, there's always going to be exceptions to the rules. I don't believe that I don't believe your Hawks back in 2015. I don't think they were a contender because clearly they were not better than, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, even though they won 60 games and had a lot of all-stars on that team, I just didn't see that team being able to get over the hump and get to the finals. So I wouldn't consider that team a contender. But for the most part, I consider every top three. For the most part, I consider every top 3 team as a contender. Now, this Sixer team, I mean, last season with Tobias Harris, the Sixers were still, in my opinion, a contender because they were top 5 in almost every not every statistical category, but in terms of offense and defense, they were top 5, and they had a top 5 net rating as well, with Joel Embiid on the floor. Now, I'm speaking the points I'm about to make. How do I even say this? I mean, the points I'm about to make, I'm making these points relative to Joel Embiid and the whole team being healthy. Now, if you take health off the table, then yeah, you might. The Sixers is not a contender because after Embiid got hurt, they dropped to the 7th seed and they were in the play-in. But with Embiid healthy, the Sixers were definitely a contender in my opinion with Tobias Harris on the floor. But now you don't have Tobias Harris, and now you have a better backup center who's the guy you see on the screen on the left, and you have a better third option, in my opinion, Paul George. PG makes the Sixers' chances of contending even more stronger than last season because you have a better third option, in my opinion. Now, yeah, at first I was against it because I thought PG was coming over this team to be the second option, but um he's not coming here to be a second option. He's coming over here to be a third option, and that's what I've been sold. That's what I believe. And even listening to Nick Nurse, he joined the summer league team. He joined the commentary, and he had some thoughts on the PG signing. And listening to him, I don't think he said anything that pointed to reasons why PG will be a second option. So I don't think he's going to be a second option. Nick Nurse doesn't think he's going to be a second option. So that's why I'm kind of like, I'm kind of with this move right here. Thomas says the Hawks wasn't. Yeah, I mean, there was the first seed, but I mean, I didn't think they could, win the championship. Yeah, terrible first seed. I said contender for a third seed, meaning three to 4 to 5 seeds contending for. Thomas, you funny as hell. But I mean, Thomas, you say all this, you talk all this, you talk all this shit, and Julius Randle. I mean, your reasons why the Sixers are not a contender is because of Paul George, who is the third option. But I could flip your own logic against you and say that the reason why the Knicks are not a contender is because of Julius Randle. And I could get nasty and pull up his stats in the playoffs, but I mean, I'm not gonna do that because that's going for the low hanging fruit. But yeah. So let's talk about Paul George and what he brings to the Sixer team. So Paul George, I mean, we know two-way player. Now, obviously, he's gotten up there in age, and he's lost a lot of athleticism as well. So sometimes when you watch him play, you can clearly tell that he's lost athleticism. He can't really get enough separation. He can't really sometimes drive past his defenders. And sometimes when he gets to the rim, you can tell that he's not getting enough lift to, finish that ball. So most of his shots are contested shots. Most of the shots he takes are tough pull-up three-point shots. That's the types of shots he relied on, especially in the postseason. And, with Dallas's defense, keying in on him because the Clippers didn't really have enough shot creators out there on the perimeter because he and James Harden were the only shot creators out there in the perimeter because Kawhi Leonard was hurt and Kawhi Leonard didn't play in that series. So it just made the job easier for Dallas to just keen in on him and put the best defenders on him. The PJ Washingtons, Derrick Jones Jr. also had some great defensive possessions on him as well. And you could clearly tell that PG can't really drive past defenders that are very, very athletic and can move laterally on the floor. But when you put him on this Sixer team, playing with Joel Embiid and playing with Tyrese Maxey, first of all, Paul George is a very, very good three-point shooter. Now, last season he had his most efficient shooting season. He shot, I think, 41%. From the 3-point line. But if you take a look at his catch and shoot percentages, he shot 45% from the three on catch and shoot opportunities. And we know playing with Joel Embiid on the floor, PG is going to get a lot of catch and shoot threes because those are the types of shots that Tobias Harris was getting on the regular. And for the most part, he was not making those shots. He was not, allowing those. He was not allowing the team pay for it because teams were leaving him open and just, doubling, triple teaming Joel Embiid. And Tobias Harris not being a good three-point shooter, he wasn't able to make the other team pay for leaving him wide open. But now with Paul George on the floor, with his three-point shooting ability, I mean, he shot 45% on catch and shoot threes. So with his ability to shoot off the catch, that gives him a huge advantage as well because if Joel Embiid gets doubled and the ball gets kicked out to him in the corner, PG can then use the defenders. He can use the defenders' momentum against him because, like I said, he can't really drive past athletic defenders, on a standstill. But when you kick it out to him, he can definitely attack closeouts and drive to the basket, make a play. Sometimes find somebody right down there in the dunker spot, and he's able to finish. Or sometimes he can drive to the basket and then kick out to the weak side corner for whoever's in that corner. So on this team right here, it could be Kelly Oubre, it could be Tyrese Maxey, who's also a very good 3-point shooter off the catch. He shot, I think, 41% from the 3-point. Nah, he shot 41% off the catch. Catch and shoot threes, not threes that he created off the dribble. So PG is going to be great in terms of catch and shoot opportunities because he's one of the best catch and shoot 3-point shooters in the league. He was second in the NBA last season behind Stephen Curry. So he's definitely gonna flourish in terms of cashing out catch and shoot opportunities, and also we can see him run a ton of pick and roll action as well, and a lot of dribble handoffs because when he played on the Clippers, I mean, they had James Harden, so you didn't really see PG operate that much in the pick and roll. You didn't really see that because they had James Harden, and Harden is one of the best pick and roll merchants, one of the best ball handlers, one of the best playmakers in the game. So it wasn't really PG's job to operate in the pick and roll and try to set up his teammates like that because they had a great playmaker on the team. But now on this Sixer team right here, Tobias Harris didn't really have that. He didn't really have that responsibility because he's not good at making plays for his teammates like that. He's not that great of a playmaker. But looking at Paul George is a much better playmaker than a Tobias Harris. Paul George can definitely handle the rock better than Tobias Harris. Paul George averaged last season. Like I was saying, he didn't really have to play make that much. So because James Harden was on the team. But if you look at previous seasons where the Clippers didn't really have a good, point guard when Patrick Beverley was a point guard, Paul George had some assist numbers as high as 5 assists per game and 6 assists per game. So when you put him on this team, and Maxey's not the best, playmaker on this team. I mean, this 76er team, we don't really have a good. This Sixer team doesn't really have a good, there's not a lot of good passers on this team in particular because they don't really have players known to be, very good passers. Thomas says number 2 option is Thomas. Bro, I'm gonna put you in timeout for saying this, bro. I'm not about to do that with you, bro. Yeah, sit your ass in timeout, bro. Sit your ass in timeout. Nah, I'm just playing with you. But I mean, bro, you can't sit up here and tell me that Jalen Brunson is the number 2 option, bro. Jalen Brunson is the first option on the Knicks. Julius Randle is the second option on the Knicks. So you can't be coming over here and capping like that, bro. So I want you to walk that back and not disrespect Jalen Brunson like that. Yeah. Shout out to Bob Yoder, bro. Appreciate you for being in here. He says you'll be better than Tobias. Oh yeah, much better than Tobias Harris. And I haven't even gotten to my main point, which I'll get to in a few seconds right here. But all of Tobias Harris's weaknesses, PG has strengths in them in terms of shooting the three, in terms of being a shot creator out there in the perimeter or in the half court. PG can, he can definitely thrive off of those situations like that. Now, like I said, he can't really beat his defenders consistently off the dribble, and that's where a Tyrese Maxey comes in. That's where Joel Embiid comes in because when he's running pick and roll action with Embiid, what do defenses usually do? They usually keen in on Joel Embiid because he's the biggest threat on the floor. With the ball, without the ball, Embiid is definitely a threat. And with his screening ability, he can definitely get PG wide open drives to the basket. he can definitely find PG some wide and easy looks around the basket, some easy looks at the 3 point line, and some easy looks in the mid range as well. Because PG has an all around basketball offensive game. He can score from the three, he can score in the mid range, and he can get to the basket. Now, his efficiency around the rim is not all that great, like I said, because he's getting older, the injuries is piling up. So, he's not, if you look at his percentages around the rim, it's not that great. I'm not even gonna say it. But if you have him, in the corners, he's definitely gonna, make a lot of catch and shoot threes. He's definitely gonna attack off the catch defenders off guard. And when you're closing out, you can definitely use a defender's momentum against him. And that's where you saw PG last season with the Clippers. When he was beating his defenders, most of the time it was off those, off the catch, catching drives, something like that. He wasn't really beating his defenders at a standstill because he doesn't have that quickness. He doesn't really have that agility anymore. But attacking closeouts, he can definitely do that, and he can definitely play make out of that. Or sometimes he can even, catch you off guard on a backdoor cut and get to the basket and finish. Thomas says, does Embiid have the big body? Does Embiid have the big body monster screens like Draymond, or how is his screens like? I mean, Embiid sometimes gets away with a lot of moving screens. That's what Draymond gets away with. But bro, getting around an Embiid screen, it's not that easy. And you can I mean, if you watch the games, you can clearly tell when he was setting screens on Jalen Brunson, setting screens on Miles McBride, even your guy OG Anunoby. OG sometimes had difficulties getting around it, fighting over the screens. But sometimes it also depends on the defensive coverage. If you have to fight over the screen, it's definitely going to be tough. But if you have to just go underneath the screen and meet the ball handler up the top, it's just going to be easy. But yeah, Embiid is a very good screen setter, in my opinion. If you go to NBA.com and look at screen assists per game, I think Embiid is definitely one of the top centers in the league in terms of screen assists, because he's a big body. You can't just get over an Embiid screen like that. But I mean, I would want Embiid to screen more, to set more screens coming this season, because having PG and having Tyrese Maxey, you have more scoring options on the floor. So we don't really need Joel to dominate scoring wise, but doing the little things, rebounding, shot blocking, rim protection, setting screens, offensive rebounds, all of that. That's very, very important to a team all around. So I just hope that Embiid doesn't really want to score 30 this season. Shout out to Bob, bro. Appreciate you for being in here. He says, I definitely think this Sixer team could get us to the conference finals. And I absolutely agree with you. Now, Thomas he's gonna disagree because he believes in the Knicks, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But the Knicks have deficiencies as the 76ers have deficiencies. Now, we're not saying the Sixers have no weaknesses. Like, no team has. We're not going to sit up here and say no team has weakness. Every team has a weakness. But the thing is, can you really capitalize and make less mistakes in order to win games? And I think the Sixer team could definitely do that with PG on this team. I'm not saying PG is the end all be all, because he's not. And that's one thing that I disagree with Dr. J. And shout out to Dr. J. Shout out to Julius Irving, one of the best Sixer players in NBA. In Sixers history. When they met up with PG and told him that they would definitely like him on his team. Dr. J said that PG is the final piece to the Sixer team, just like Moses was back in 1982. Now, the difference is, and the reason why I'm disagreeing with Dr. J is because Moses was an MVP candidate, and Moses did not come to the Sixers to be a third option. He came on the team, and he was the number one option, and he was the best player on the team, and he was an MVP. But PG is not that. Paul George is not the number one option on this team. Paul George is not the best player on this team. And Paul George certainly is not an MVP candidate. So with Dr. J saying that, I absolutely disagree. Now, we talked about PG, what he brings to the team offensively. His catch and shoot opportunities. He's going to get a lot of catch and shoot opportunities because Embiid does demand a lot of defensive attention. Even with Embiid and Maxi two-man game, Paul George could definitely capitalize on that. You know, in terms of moving off the ball, you know, off of backdoor cuts and, you know, catching defenses off guard and, you know, getting into the dunker spot. And PG, when he gets there, he's very, very dangerous around the rim. Now, if he has to drive to the rim, I don't trust that. But, you know, off ball screens and, you know, coming off of screens, coming off of pin downs and flare screens like that, and, you know, elevating into a shot, that's definitely going to be beneficial to the Sixers. PG is not a very good transition player. You know, I'm not, because he's not that fast anymore. He doesn't have that athleticism anymore. But that that right there, I don't think that should really be a concern for the Sixers because you have Maxi, you got Caleb Martin, and you got Kelly Oubre. These are three fast guys and three of the best, or let me not say best, but yeah, I can say three of the best transition transition players on the Sixer team. Now I'm not going to say in the NBA, but some of the best transition players on the Sixer team. And we know PG and Joel, they're very slow. So when we get a steal and we have to attack them on the fast break, we know PG sometimes, you know, he'll make it there, but sometimes he's not going to be there. So in terms of transition offense, PG is not really going to help us. But PG is a very good defender, and sometimes he's able to, you know, play in the passing lanes, get those steals, and when he get those steals, that's where the Sixers can be very, very dangerous in transition. Because if he gets those steals and, you know, kicks it out to Tyrese Maxey or kicks it out to a Kelly Oubre or a Caleb Martin, the Sixers can definitely capitalize on situations like that. So all around, the Sixers can use his versatility to their advantage. You know, with his offense, you know, his 3-point shooting, his ability to rebound sometimes. I mean, he's not a very good rebounder. I mean, I'll give that to Tobias Harris. I think Harris is a better rebounder than him, but PG's ability to sometimes, you know, grab you double digit rebounds, you could definitely use that. And with his ability to, you know, shoot the ball, that is also going to give Embiid a lot of space, Embiid and Maxi a lot of space to operate with because defenses are going to have to capitalize or pay attention to Paul George because he's that lethal from the 3-point line. Um, in terms of, hold on, give me a second, y'all. Yeah, sorry about that. But I think PG is definitely gonna give you a little bit of everything if he's on the floor, a little bit of rebounding, a little bit of ball handling. You know, take some responsibilities off of Tyrese Maxey, even though Maxey is going to be the number one ball handler on the team. But, you know, PG could definitely take some pressure off of him in those departments, and I can see Nick Nurse staggering a lot of staggering these three guys, and we can see a Paul George, you know, running with the bench unit, and we'll see maybe Maxi and Joel Embiid, you know, running with the starters, or it could be the other way. We can see Maxi and PG running with the starters, and then we can see Joel Embiid running with the bench unit. So I think Nick Nurse is going to have to be very, very creative with that, and I really trust Nick Nurse when it comes to that because he's really good in terms of staggering minutes. He's really good in terms of, you know, using certain players in the best situations possible. And I haven't even gotten to the other players on the team. I was just talking about the fit of Paul George on the Sixer team. Now, with Paul George's his game can definitely translate to any team, in my opinion, because he's not, you know, he doesn't do anything great in particular, but he can do everything, you know, above average, like scoring, rebounding, playing defense, playmaking. He definitely gives you a little bit of everything. So if he's on the floor, scoring, Embiid doesn't really have to score 30 or average 30, even though certain nights he might get hot and, you know, he might drop a 40 or maybe a, you know, 35 points, 40 points. That's cool. But having another creator in the half court, that's really, really beneficial to the Sixers because last season, the Sixers' possessions, some of their possessions ended on a Kelly Oubre ISO. And y'all know and I know that if your offense has to end on the Kelly Oubre ISO, it's not very good offense. Now, I'm not saying Kelly Oubre is a terrible player. Kelly Oubre is definitely good in terms of slashing to the basket, because he definitely puts a lot of pressure on the rim. But if he has to create, if he has to ISO from the three and do something and create his own shot, that is very very nasty to watch. So having PG on this team, the Sixers are definitely going to capitalize with this because you have other creators on the floor, and the pressure is not going to always be on Maxi or always going to be on Embiid to create something out of nothing because you have a PG on the floor. Now, even though PG is not really great in terms of his shooting percentages off the three, is not that great, but it's definitely above average, and the Sixers can definitely use that because he's that lethal from the three. Shout to Brian Pumper in the comment section, bro. Appreciate you for being in here. He says, "Thank God the Knicks don't have iHeart. Knicks fumbled big time. Buddy was annoying. Exactly, bro. And that's something that Thomas is not really talking about, and I don't know why. The Knicks losing Isaiah Hartenstein, that's really, really huge. And me personally, I don't know what other backup center they can replace or they can replace iHeart with, because iHeart just brought a lot of things to this Knicks team. One thing that really annoyed me was his offensive rebounding ability and those weak ass floaters that he was shooting over Embiid. Those were just annoying, and it seemed like every time he shot that, it was just going in. So the Knicks definitely have to. They definitely got to find a very good backup center. Else, we're gonna do to them if we face them. We're gonna do to them what they did to us last year, which is kill them on the glass. Um, Brian Pumper says, "Nah, I believe in Kelly because more than likely they'll have Brunson on them." Oh yeah, I mean, I was talking about Kelly Oubre in terms of his shot creation from the perimeter. That's that's not very good offense because he's not that creative on the. He can't really create his own shot from the perimeter. But in terms of generating rim pressure, putting pressure on the rim, his defense, and sometimes his ability to grab rebounds and his off ball movements as well, because sometimes Kelly can catch you off guard and get in the dunker spot, seal off his defender, and catch it and dunk it. And those are the things that Kelly Oubre brings to you. Now, obviously, he's not a good shot creator, like I said, but other things he definitely is great. He's definitely good at. Now you got to deal with Robinson and OG and Bridges, bro. What are you talking about? We're talking about a backup center, and Robinson is the starter, bro. Who's the backup center for the Knicks? And you're not Thomas. We're not doing that, bro. Matter of fact, let me just pull up. Julius Randle's numbers. Julius Randle in the playoffs. All right, cool. In the playoffs, in 15 games that he's played in, he's shooting 34% from the field, 28% from the three, and 75% from the free throw line. And you want to talk about Paul George, bro? Come on, Towers. You can't do it with me, bro. And you telling me that he's the first option? So the first option giving you numbers like that. When PG had terrible numbers in the playoffs this past season, you said he was trash. And now the team that you believe in, the first option, according to you, me personally, I think he's a second option, but you said he's a first option, so I'm taking your word for it. He's giving you numbers like this in the playoffs, and you believe that? I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it, bro. Bring me 4 guys for 1 backup. Okay, I hear you, bro. I absolutely hear you, bro. iHeart's floaters, offensive rebounds, and his passing. Mitchell Robinson is one-dimensional. Exactly. And Thomas is making it seem like Mitchell Robinson is Bill Russell type. Like, bro, stop it. Stop it, bro. The Knicks are not what you think they are, bro. Now, yeah, they have some good pieces. They have their own deep squad. I mean, they want to call it they're deep and loaded. Okay, cool, no problem. But in terms of teams in the Eastern Conference, the Knicks are not better than Boston. They're not better than the Sixers. And I could go as far as to say they're not even better than Milwaukee. And last year, they were the second seed because, let's put things in context, Milwaukee tanked that last game. Had they had won that game, the Knicks would have been a third seed and not the second seed. So that's the context that goes with it. Not 4 guys, 4 starters. Okay, so 4 starters for one backup. Okay, cool. So those 4 stars are going to play 48 minutes. Now we know Tom Thibodeau does a lot of stupid shit, but okay, you definitely need a backup center. You definitely need a backup center because what if Embiid has Mitchell Robinson in foul trouble? Who you gonna replace him with? Yeah, Brunson was hiding on Tobias that series. Not anymore, sir. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, let me just transition into, because that's what Thomas really wants to talk about. Where do the 76ers rank in the Eastern Conference? Now, like I said, with Paul George on this team, the Sixers, their chances of contending in the Eastern Conference went up, or it got stronger because you don't have a Tobias Harris who has a lot of weaknesses, especially in his offensive game. Now, Tobias usually he likes to operate in the areas that Embiid operates in. He shoots, he gets on the block, he bullies guys, but he wasn't able to do it in the Knicks series. Even though he had 4 or 5 inches over Josh Hart, he wasn't able to capitalize on those mismatches. Now, when he got Dante DiVincenzo on him, yeah, he definitely capitalized on that. But the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau, you gotta give him a lot of credit. He figured out that Tobias was definitely will definitely capitalize on Dante DiVincenzo. So they had OG on them sometimes. They had Josh Hart on them sometimes because Tobias is not a very good. He doesn't really like physicality like that. So the Knicks were able to rough him up, and they absolutely took him out the series. And when he got those three point opportunities in the corner, he just wasn't making those shots. But with Paul George, you're not gonna have that issue because he's definitely gonna make you pay. And like I said, on catch and shoot threes, Paul George shot 45% last season. Now I could read the last 7 years on catch and shoot threes. So 2017, 2018, so 41%. The next season, 40%. The next season, which is 2019, 2020, he shot 41% off catch and shoot opportunities, 41%. 2020, 2021, 43%. 2021, 2022, 41%. 2022, 2023, that was down a little bit, but even though it's still above league average, that's 38.4. And then last year, 45.4. So the Knicks, if we have to face them, will really have their hands full because number one, you're gonna have to deal with Maxi on the perimeter because he's lightning quick. He can get to the rim at will, and the Knicks couldn't really stop him when he was going downhill because he's that quick, he's that fast, and sometimes the Knicks got away with some. They got away with some fouls because Maxi has the worst whistle in the NBA. When he gets to the basket, it's literally nothing that you can do. All you can do is foul him and hope that the refs don't call the foul. But Maxi caught them off guard a lot of times. Maxi shot the ball very good, and Maxi used his playmaking abilities to spam those Embiid pick and rolls, and he was able to deliver those pocket passes to Embiid, and Embiid was able to capitalize on that. So, yeah, the Knicks. This is a different Sixers team, and we're not the same team from the last season. But the Knicks, in on the other hand, they only added Mikal Bridges. Now, Mikal Bridges is cool, no doubt about that, but he doesn't really make that big of a difference, in my opinion. He's going to give you some perimeter shooting, he's going to give you some defense, and that's about it, in my opinion. And he's not the first or second option, in my opinion. So, it's just he's going to have to feed off of Brunson's gravity. He's going to have to if he's going to have to score, he's going to have to depend on Brunson's gravity because Brunson is going to have the ball in his hands most of the time. But where do the Sixers rank in the Eastern Conference? So, I mean, obviously, people are going to put the Boston Celtics as the first seed in the Eastern Conference because, I mean, they're the defending champs, the reigning champions, reigning Eastern Conference champions. So, okay, it's cool to give them that respect because they won a championship. But after the Celtics, what's the next team right in line? Now, people might say the New York Knicks, like my guy Thomas here. He really believes in the New York Knicks. And Thomas only believes in the New York Knicks because of OG Ananobi. Now, last time I checked, OG is not no all-star. He never averaged 20 points a game. He never won no MVP. He never did any of that. But what I mean, look at this right here. Look at this. Boston not beating the Knicks either. You're just delusional. Bro, you're just delusional, bro. But I mean, it's cool. It's cool you feel that way. But we'll wait and see. But as of currently, me personally, I'll put the Boston Celtics over the Knicks because the Boston Celtics are the champions. They got there, they got over the hump, they won a championship, so they're proven. The Knicks are not proven, so the Knicks are gonna have to show us that they're over the Boston Celtics. Now, don't get me wrong, the Knicks definitely match up good with the Boston Celtics. I mean, offense, defense, but it's one thing that the Boston Celtics have over the Knicks, in my opinion. And I believe that the Knicks, if they have to play the Boston Celtics in the playoffs, me personally, I think I think Joe Mazzulla is a better head coach than Tom Thibodeau, in my opinion. And Tom Thibodeau is also known for running his guys into the ground. So, and the Celtics, they have a pretty good, that 5-out offense could definitely destroy almost every defensive unit in the NBA because they have 5 guys who can space the floor and they're gonna have a lot of space to work with. But the Knicks don't really have that. The Knicks have a lot of I was about to say a lot of terrible shooters, but not a lot of terrible shooters, but they have Mitchell Robinson, who's not gonna provide you any type of offense, and he's not gonna space the floor for you as well. And he's very, very terrible on the perimeter as well. So if you have to depend on Mitchell Robinson to guard a Porzingis on the perimeter, or contest Porzingis a shot on the perimeter, you're going to be at a disadvantage because we saw Mitchell Robinson out there on the perimeter when he had to contest 3-point shots, and it was terrible. Maxi made a lot of threes over him, right? Maxi made the game winning shot. I mean, the game tying shot with Mitchell Robinson contesting. Maxi made another 3-point shot before that game tying shot. He bumped into he bumped into Mitchell Robinson, and Mitchell Robinson fouled him. Now, I'm not saying Mitchell Robinson is a bum, but he's a good, interior presence, good shot blocker, good rim protector. In his right, he's very good in that area. But if he has to guard on the perimeter, it's not going to look too good for the Knicks. And the Knicks don't have a backup center as well. So that right there, in my opinion, that's why I'll put the Boston Celtics over the Knicks because they have a way better offense. Now the defense, they have a switching type defense. They don't really have any or a significant defensive liability on the floor. The Boston Celtics I'm talking about. But the Knicks, like I said, Mitchell Robinson is not a good he's not a good defender on the perimeter. And Dante DiVincenzo sometimes has his own moments, but he gets blown by sometimes as well. So now Mikhail's a good defender. OG's a good defender. Julius Randle, I don't really trust him on the perimeter like that, even though sometimes he can hold his own. And if you're posting him up, I mean he's pretty strong, so you can't just bully him like that. But I believe the Knicks are definitely gonna make some moves in order to get better, in my opinion. But yeah, let's put those two teams aside and let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Milwaukee has really we haven't really heard anything from Milwaukee this offseason. Giannis is playing in the Olympics. He helped his team get to the Olympics. He eliminated Luka's team, and he eliminated Ivica Zubac's team as well. Shout out to Cottage81, bro. Appreciate you for being in here. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Um, he says, "Is PG better than Carmelo Anthony?" I mean, I'll put it this way: all time, if I'm ranking players all time, obviously I'm gonna put Carmelo Anthony over Paul George. But if you talk about player for player, and you want to analyze their games, Paul George is a two-way player, and Carmelo Anthony is not a two-way player. Carmelo Anthony is he's a great scorer. I think he led the league in scoring in like what 2013. Yeah, he won the scoring title in 2013. So he's a very good scorer. But I think George is the better all around player. So if I'm ranking players, in terms of careers, I'll definitely put Carmelo Anthony over PG. But Player for player, analyzing their games, I think Paul George is definitely a better player. Yeah, I'm not going to disrespect Melo like that. So yeah, yeah, that's nasty. Kawhi and OG, them dudes is cursed. But I mean, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, if he's on the floor, your offense is going to be better. But OG, yeah, he's going to give you defense. But what else is he going to give you? He's not a great 3-point shooter. He's shooting 35% from the three. That's trash. That's trash, Thomas. Shooting 35% from the 3-point line. That's trash. Now he has a good slashing ability, but OG is just as slow on the perimeter as a PG. So who can he beat off the dribble? And he doesn't really have that. His handles is not that great in the half court, and you don't really see him creating that much in the half court because he's not that. That's not his game. But I mean, as a slasher, he can definitely get to the basket. He's a good finisher around the rim as well. I'm talking about his offensive game. Now, defensively, he's pretty versatile. He can guard big men. He can switch. He can guard on the perimeter as well. On the block, he can definitely hold his own. But offensively, that's where his struggle lies. That's why Kawhi is definitely. I mean, I don't think anybody will put OG over Kawhi, but yeah, Brunson, Bridges, OG, Randall, Robinson, Hart, DiVincenzo, Seven, Mofos, Dogs. Okay. Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Caleb Martin, Kelly Oubre, Joel Embiid, Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond. You want me to keep cooking you? And I haven't even gotten to Drummond yet. But let me not get off track. But yeah, Milwaukee, we haven't really seen them. And according to the masses, people are not really ranking Milwaukee as a top 3 seed or a top 4 seed. People are saying the Knicks, the Sixers, the Boston Celtics, obviously. And the fourth team, surprisingly, you hear Miami, you hear the Cavs, you hear the Pacers. The Pacers were in the conference finals, so you can't really disrespect them like that. I mean, they still have Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam. Now, I believe Siakam is the most overrated player in the NBA. That's my opinion. But I mean, you still can't disrespect them as a team because they got to the conference finals. Now, yeah, they played injured teams, but you still got to give them the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, those are the top teams that people are saying that will be the top teams in the Eastern Conference. But me personally, I wouldn't really, look down or underestimate the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, yeah, we know they dealt with injuries because Giannis went out, Damian Lillard went out as well. I think Chris Middleton also went out. So, me personally, I wouldn't count them out because the Milwaukee Bucks in the Giannis era, they haven't been anything. I mean, ever since Giannis elevated into that guy, they haven't been anything lower than the third seed. They've been the first seed or the third seed every single time since 2019, since the 2018-2019 season. Either the first seed or the third seed. So, me personally, looking at that, I'm not gonna disrespect them and say they'll make the play-in or they're not gonna be a top 6 seed. I'm not gonna say that, but I think they're definitely a top 6 seed. Now, me personally, do I think the Milwaukee Bucks is over the Knicks? They match up pretty good against them. But the Knicks, definitely have the perimeter defense, and the Milwaukee Bucks, they don't really have that. Now, I was hearing that Milwaukee could trade for Andrew Wiggins. Now, if they can pull off that move, that's definitely going to bolster their perimeter defense. Very very good because having Damian Lillard on the floor and having they had Malik Beasley playing the shooting guard position, which those are the two. That backcourt is definitely a defensive liability. So they definitely need some perimeter defense. And Brook Lopez is getting up there in age, even though he's a very good rim protector, but he's getting up there in age. So that's why people are, not so high on the Milwaukee. But me personally, knowing the history of Milwaukee, I mean, since the 2018-2019 season, I'm not gonna disrespect them. I think they're definitely a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, me personally, if I'm to predict, I would say the Boston Celtics will be the first seed, in my opinion. The second seed will be the Milwaukee Bucks, and the third seed will be the 76ers, and I'll have the Knicks as the fourth seed. Now I know Thomas is going to disagree with me, but I don't really Thomas I don't really care. I mean, you mentioned seven guys, and I mentioned eight guys. So eight beats seven, in my opinion. And what the Knicks did to the Sixers, especially on the glass, that's not going to happen because we have a backup center who is a glass cleaner in his own right, and Andre Drummond. Drummond is a very, very good um he's a very good rebounder for his position and for his size. And we have Paul George as well. And Paul George, I know Paul George can be worse. Now you told me that he dropped 7 points in the playoffs, even though Harden dropped 7 points in the playoffs as well. But you don't mention it. That's cool. Paul George has never had a playoff game where he scored 0 points. Tobias Harris gave us that in game 6 in an elimination game. Everything on the line, everything on the wood, at home, not on the road, at home. He gave you 0 points. So that right there shows you that the Sixers definitely have enough to, um compete against the Knicks, in my opinion. You mentioned three. Bro, what has OG done? What has Mikhail done? What has DiVincenzo done? What has Josh Hart done? Second round, bro, they're second round exits. They've never even made it to a conference finals. Now, I'm not going to give OG 2019 because he was hurt. He was not on the team. So I'm not going to say he made it to the conference finals in 2019. OG has never gotten out the second round the same way that Embiid and these other guys haven't been out the second round. But the guy on the screen has. He has experience. Nobody on the Knicks has experience. I mean, okay, what you call it? Jalen Brunson has experience because he got to the conference finals with the Dallas Mavericks. So okay, he has experience. But apart from him, who else has experience on the Knicks? No one. They all just was Ian in the playoffs. Bro, they lost in the second round. What are you talking about? Thomas, just stop it, bro. He said OG was outscoring Oubre ass easily. So wait, OG is a third option on the Knicks. They miss half the team. Bro, what are you saying, bro? Thomas, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. But I mean, against us, yeah, they definitely the role player stepped up huge. They definitely stepped up huge for them. And that's one thing, one of the reasons why the Sixers didn't really have enough success, even though they only outscored the Sixers by 1 point in the entire series. They only averaged 0.1 point more than us, and they only scored 1 point more than the Sixers. So they didn't really blow us out the water like people trying to make it seem like. If we had more, if we had more help from the other guys, I mean Maxi and Embiid, they did their job. If we had other help from other guys, we probably would have had a chance. Thomas Bronson is not the second option on the Knicks. And okay, cool. Let's go by that logic. Okay, cool, no problem. So you believe in a guy who shot for his playoff career, he's shooting 34% from the field. 34% from the field. You believe in that? Thomas, you believe in that, bro? Wait, hold on. So who's the first option on the Knicks? Wait, who's the first option on the Knicks? Because you said Brunson is the second option, which in my opinion, I think he's the first option. But if you say he's the second option, okay, cool, no problem. Who is the first option on the Knicks? If bro, I'm talking about scoring wise. You talking about defense, bro? Thomas, what are you doing, bro? Have you ever heard a defensive first option before? Thomas, you just oh my goodness, bro. Yeah. But let me just continue. I'll drop the link later on. But But yeah, in my opinion, I think the Celtics are the first seed. The Milwaukee Bucks are the second seed. The Sixers are the third seed, and the Knicks are the fourth seed. Now, the fifth seed, I would say Cleveland. I think Cleveland and Indiana are definitely going to battle for that fifth spot. But I think what you call it, I think Cleveland takes it. And then the sixth seed, I mean, Miami's always tricky because, sometimes they could, mess around, be the eighth seed, and then the next time they're the first seed. So it's just tricky to kind of like rank them. Now they've lost a lot of players in the offseason. I mean, not a lot of players, but some of their key main players, they've really lost them. Not just this offseason, but last offseason as well. So it's kind of hard to kind of like, predict where the Miami Heat might finish in the Eastern Conference, but they're definitely right up there. But I don't think Miami's going to be a top 4 seed. I mean a top 3 seed. I don't see that. I don't see them being that. Now, could they be a top 6 seed? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think they're a top 3 seed. Now, Thomas says your quote unquote option don't have to be no fucking scoring. Man, Thomas, you're very funny, bro. You're very, very funny. I mean, I've never heard a defensive first option on defense, second option on defense, third option on defense, fourth option on defense, fifth option on defense. I've never heard that. And if that's a thing, then I'm probably a casual then. But Thomas, um, it's good to have you on the show because you're definitely making me learn something. Cottage says, "Stop it, Thomas." Yeah, bro. Thomas is he wilding tonight. I gotta go to bed, Andre. Good show. Everybody hit the like button. Let's chat tomorrow. Yeah. Appreciate you, Thomas. Appreciate you. Yeah. Hit the like button as y'all come in, bro. Hit the like button. But yeah. Thomas, yeah, that's what he does sometimes. He says the 2019 Raptors equal defense. Yeah, they had a good defense. Boston had a good defense as well, but they had offense as well. So, and the 2019 Raptors, I never heard anybody say Kawhi Leonard was the first option on defense, and this player was the first option on defense as well. That's just funny, bro. But I mean, I'm not saying defense don't matter. Defense definitely matters. But yeah, appreciate you, Thomas. Appreciate you. Um, yeah. So the other teams, Indiana is also tricky because I mean they were the sixth seed. I think they would have finished at a higher seed had Tyrese Halliburton not gotten hurt. But that's that's a conversation for another time. But I think the Sixers they're definitely one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And I think barring injuries and barring everything, this Sixer team definitely has a shot to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, Tom has already said that Tom has already said that the Sixers are going to lose in the second round again, which I highly disagree with because I think the Sixers absolutely address the team needs in the offseason with the backup center position. Some very good role players as well. Having Eric Gordon coming off the bench. Now, I think the Sixers are not done making moves. They might make other moves as well, but they definitely address the team's weaknesses in the offseason, and they're going to continue to do it. And I think with them addressing the needs, it would definitely help them in terms of making a deep postseason run. And you have a player like Caleb Martin who's made a deep postseason run with the Miami Heat, and he's known as a playoff riser. And we saw him cook in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we saw him do his thing in this year's playoffs. But I mean, he's not a top. He's not like a first or second option, but he can definitely light you up if you forget about him. So with him, Embiid, Drummond, Maxey, Oubre, even Ricky Council, I think Ricky Council is definitely going to be very, very huge for the Sixers coming season. Hopefully Nick Nurse gives him a lot of playing time as well because I think he has a lot of potential that the Sixers could definitely use. offensively and defensively as well. We haven't really seen him that much defensively, but he's killing it at summer league, and he killed it last season in the G League as well. So um, I think the Sixers are definitely a top 3 seed, and the Sixers are definitely they have a shot to get to the Eastern Conference Finals next season. So uh the Knicks also have a shot. Boston definitely has a shot. Milwaukee has a shot as well. I mean, I'm not gonna look down on Milwaukee because he was hurt, because Giannis is a beast, and they have to make moves. And just because they haven't made any moves doesn't mean they're not gonna make any moves. We have to sit back and watch and see what the Milwaukee Bucks do this offseason before we can, make any take. But me personally, I definitely think they can be a top 3 seed, in my opinion. Hey, keep cooking Thomas. Yeah. I cook Thomas all the time, bro. I mean, Thomas believes in defense, which is cool, but I mean, we've never, or me personally, I've never heard anybody say that this person is the first option on defense. That guy's the first option on defense. Like, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. But we're not saying defense doesn't matter, because it absolutely matters. Now, last thing, how would Nick Nurse incorporate Paul George into the offense? Now, like I said, or I alluded to earlier on, I did say that Paul George his game can definitely travel to any team, because offensively he can do so much, and defensively, he has a switch, and he can switch on defense, switch onto, one to he can guard like 1 through 3. Now, I don't like him guarding the power forwards, or like him playing the power forward position, but as of currently, he might have to play power forward if the Sixers head into next season with the same roster, because they don't really have, that big players like that. I mean, Caleb Martin is expected to play the 4, but expect PG to play power forward when Nick Nurse staggers, those lineups a little bit. So which is something I don't like, but we'll just have to wait and see. But I think Nick Nurse is definitely going to use Paul George, in terms of, he's definitely going to utilize his off ball shooting ability. He's definitely going to run some actions for him, coming off screens, pin downs, um, yeah, actions like that. He's definitely going to utilize Paul George in actions like that. He's definitely going to put him in pick and roll actions as well. They're definitely going to run some horns actions, some pistol actions from the wing, horns action on the block. Um, yeah, but plays like that, I can see Nick Nurse running plays like that with Paul George, and we can see Paul George getting some ISO actions, even though I don't think he's a very good ISO player, because he can't really, blow past his defender at this stage of his career. But he can definitely create separation and get his shot off, because he did that with the Clippers, and he was pretty decent in terms of the efficiency, but he made a good amount of his pull up threes with the Clippers. So I expect him to make those same amount of pull up threes with the Sixers, and I expect him to, be an off-ball threat as well. Just like I said, running some off-ball actions for him, letting them come off, some screens and, pin downs, or even some stagger screens as well. Paul George would definitely be beneficial in those situations. He can definitely catch you off guard, and get to the basket, get into the dunker spot, and make plays over there, or even finish at the rim. And defensively, his ability to switch, his ability to play in the passing lanes. Now sometimes he does gamble. He gambles a lot sometimes, which is not good. I'm not, gambling on defense is not a good. It's not a good defensive strategy, so I'm not going to defend that. But sometimes he does come out with a few steals, and the Sixers can definitely capitalize on those steals, in terms of fast break opportunities, transition offense, and things of that nature. Yeah. Shout out to Cottage 81, bro. Brian Pumper says this dude McCain is scary. It's Wait, this dude McCain is scary. Close to getting roasted on Twitter. 0 for 6. Dang, he's really struggling, huh? I haven't really watched him so far in the summer league, so I definitely have to catch some of those games. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing all those dances on TikTok and your production on the floor is not really speaking for itself, you're definitely gonna get cooked. So yeah, he he absolutely deserves it. He deserves it. But I think he's definitely going to be huge in terms of spacing the floor for the Sixers. And he's a very good. He generates a lot of rim pressure as well. Now he's pretty small, so he's not going to give you that much on defense. Nah, McCain's nice. Shots not. Yeah, he's pretty nice. I saw a few clips from him in college, and some of his shot creation from the wing, I really loved it. His 3-point shooting is definitely great, and his all around game offensively is very, very. I don't think he has a flaw offensively. Now, obviously, you're setting screens, getting offensive rebounds. I mean, that's not his game. But in terms of scoring, he definitely can score on all three levels. Um, his ability to space the floor is gonna be very, very huge for the Sixers because uh that will add additional spacing on the floor for Embiid and Maxi to operate with. So yeah. Joel better play like 5 minutes and sub out for the rest of the game. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, they're playing Canada, so and this team, Team USA, they have a good team. So and it's an exhibition game, so I don't really think you should play him that much. But I mean, sometimes Embiid wants to play. He wants to get on the floor. Me personally, I don't want him playing in the Olympics because he's not fully healthy. He still has that knee brace on that left knee. So I'm still, every time he goes up for a shot, every time he goes up for a rebound and comes down, I'm just, yo, you just, you panic a little bit because sometimes he tends to put all that weight on that left leg, and it's not good. Is Anthony Davis better than Joel Embiid? Nah, not right now. Nah, not right now. But Anthony Davis is better defensively. He's better defensively. I think he's a better rim protector. Better. I mean, he can switch. He can switch on the perimeter and pretty much hold his own. But as an all around player, I would definitely say Embiid because Embiid last season his playmaking went up, and Anthony Davis hasn't really shown us that he can play make like that, or he can make good passes out of double teams out of the post. Um, Only Laker fans think AD is better than Joel. Yeah, because people look at Anthony Davis from the bubble and think he's that guy. Now in the bubble he balled out. No disrespect. I mean in the finals he balled out. I think he shot 50, 40, 90 in the finals. And surprisingly enough, that's the only time where he shot from the 3-point line so efficiently. Ever since then, or before the bubble, he was pretty trash shooting the three. But I mean, I said Embiid. AD has a solid, mid range game. He has a solid pick and pop game. Solid around the rim. Good rebounder, or let me say, great rebounder for this generation. But I mean, Embiid just has an all around game that Anthony Davis doesn't have. Wait, Cottage, are you a Laker fan? I don't know if you're a Laker fan, but yeah, let me know if you're a Laker fan. Um, Brian says Laker fans are delusional. They think AD and LeBron are top 5 players in the NBA. I mean, yeah, that's funny. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, AD is a top 10 player, but I wouldn't put him in top 5 conversations. Yeah, I think Embiid is better. Yeah. I think Embiid is better as well. Yeah, he has a better skill set. Exactly. Um, yeah. So teams in the Eastern Conference, Sixers are definitely in the mix, but it's going to be a long season, and you know barring any injuries, because when I speak with the exception of injuries. Now, if injuries come into question, that's where you see certain things happening. But hopefully, every team is healthy, and hopefully, every team can maximize their full potential. But I still think the Sixers are definitely a contender, and I think the Sixers are one of the biggest threats to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference, as well as the Knicks and the Bucks. Yeah, the Sixers are definitely one of those teams. But let me get to this comment right here. He says, "Nah, I be peeping their streams. Mad delusion." Yeah, I know one of them who's he's very delusional, and he thinks AD is a top 5. Which AD, no, I mean no disrespect, but I think AD's top. He's top 10. Nah, I ain't no. Yeah, that's what I thought, bro. That's what I thought. But I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, I think the Sixers are definitely a contender. And I disagree with Thomas saying that the Sixers are not a contender. I think the Sixers are a contender, and the Sixers are definitely one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. So, uh, hold on. Celtics are making a mistake just running it back. Other teams improved. You have to pick up new pieces on the edges. I mean, I agree, but at the same time, they probably think they have a better chance winning another championship with this unit rather than getting rid of pieces and adding new pieces. Because I think they're over at this point. They're probably over the second apron, so they can really sign a lot of free agents or sign any guys. They can pretty much sign their own free agents if they have any, or extend their guys to maximum contracts. So that's why they're probably not signing anybody. But yeah, I hope they bring they I hope they run it back with the same team and have Al Horford at the 5, at the backup 5. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Brian, I absolutely agree with you. I think every year you should definitely look to improve. You should look to add new pieces to the team. But I mean, if you think your championship winning team can win another championship, then all right, go for it. Yeah, yeah, they have one more year until they fill the CBA. Exactly, because they have like what, 4 maximum, I mean max players. Because Tatum is on a max, Jalen Brown is on a max, Drew Holiday is on a max, and Derek White is on a max. And Kristaps Porzingis is most likely gonna sign for a max, only if he decides to take a pay cut. But I don't think he would want to take a pay cut. I think he would rather join another team than take a pay cut. You think Andre Drummond can help Philly out? Oh yeah, absolutely. Because Andre Drummond has a great, he's a great rebounder and a great glass cleaner for his position, and that's one thing that the Sixers really struggled at. If you look at last season in terms of rebounding, I think the Sixers were probably bottom 10. I think they were bottom 10. So adding Andre Drummond, you definitely he's definitely going to rebound the basketball at a high clip, and your interior presence, you're not gonna really give up that many points in the paint, because last season the Sixers gave up a lot of points in the paint with Mo Bamba and Paul Reed on the floor. That was terrible. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, Andre Drummond is definitely going to be huge for the Sixers because you can afford to have him get a lot of rest, because the Sixers are not going to get out rebounded, and the Sixers are definitely going to generate offense with having Caleb Martin on the floor, having Paul George, Maxi, Kelly Oubre, and even Eric Gordon. So um, I don't see Embiid playing an entire second half like he did last season, because you have a good enough backup center. So yeah. Let me read this final comment right here, and might have to end the show. Yeah, they'll be over the second apron. or they will be a second apron team. So Kristaps is gone unless they get an owner willing to pay the crazy penalties. That's why their current owner is selling. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, even if you pay those taxes, you're still going to get some limitations because you can't sign certain guys. You can't sign guys that are in the buyout market. You can't sign guys to the mid-level exception. You can only sign your own free agents. You can't even talk to other free agents. So, yeah, they're definitely in a huge, I mean, a tough situation next season. So they better win next year as well to make it worth it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, Cottage, who's your team? Because I see you on streams and I don't really, and I've heard some of your videos because I'm sub to your channel as well. So, but I just want to know your team because you said you was from New York. I don't know if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan or you a Knicks fan or you don't like any sports team from the New York area. Like, who's your team? But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to end the show right here because I think I touched on everything that I needed to touch on. I broke down Paul George, his all around game, offensively, defensively, and yeah, he does have limitations because he can't get to the rim with ease as he once could, and his finishing around the rim is not that great. But he- he's a great 3-point shooter. His percentages off the catch is so great, and he can definitely attack closeouts on the catch. And when defenders are off balance, that's where PG can get by defenders and get to the rim or even make a play. Well, to be honest, I don't even. Come on, bro. You don't know your own team, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, I appreciate you being here, bro. Appreciate you for being on my channel. I see you on FYF a lot. So yeah, appreciate you. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I appreciate you. But yeah, that's all I have for the show. I appreciate each and every person that tapped in. Shout out to Thomas, shout out to Cottage, Brian, shout out to all y'all for making this stream very, very interesting for me. And I touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. I don't think I left anything out. Yeah. So yeah, appreciate the love, appreciate the support. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next show. Peace.